May 25th, and my name is Bill McCamley. I am a New Mexico State Representative from Las Cruces and Mesilla with your second day special session legislative update. So today in the legislature, let's get to the most important things first. Both the Senate and the House sent up bills to the governor that refunded money for higher education, refunded money for the legislature, since we have to work on through the next year as well, and refunded money for magistrate courts. These were the three things that the governor had vetoed through the last session. We also sent up 2 revenue bills that would give her a series of options to create some new revenue increases for the state. So these things like internet tax, a hospital tax that actually does better for New Mexicans, because though we do institute a little bit of a tax, that money is put in, some of that money is put into Medicaid and then matched on a 4-to-1 level from the federal level. Small gas tax, a freeze on the corporate income tax that gets lowered every year, even though it hasn't really created any jobs. And we sent those up to the governor. We also did 2 more revenue bills where we took all of the capital outlay, that's the infrastructure money that we would have spent on things like roads and bridges and community centers this year, and gave it to our budget to help with the fiscal imbalance that we're in, and a what we call swaps and sweeps bill. We found about, what, $20 or $30 million that was being held in certain accounts that hadn't been used yet for a lot of water projects around the state, and had been a couple of years. So they're not affecting anything now, and we're all using those to basically make it through the next budget cycle. Now, the governor has said she's going to veto all of those separate revenue increase options. However, because oil and gas has been doing somewhat better, and remember, 30%, 35% of our budget relies on oil and gas, combined with the reserve methods that we took with those infrastructure bonds, we should be able to get the legislature, the higher education, and the magistrate courts funded, and that we should be able to limp through the next year. Now, our reserve levels will be very, very low, and if the governor decides to veto these things, and Moody's, which is the nationwide bond service, downgrades our bond rating, it means you will be paying more for public projects for the foreseeable future, because our interest rate will go up, and our bond rating is like our credit rating. And when you have a higher credit rating, you can borrow money, but they'll charge you more for it, and that might happen to us. And if that happens, that's on the governor. Now, the other thing that happened today was that a tax reform package was brought before the legislature this year. The governor was really pushing this. I had worked on something along these lines with Representative Jason Harper from Rio Rancho, who's a good guy, who means well, but when he brought his 430-page tax reform package that we got at 4 o'clock last night to the legislature, there's a whole lot of problems with it. So what the point of this is that you get rid of a bunch of tax exemptions that are in place now, and he actually increased taxes in other ways in order to lower the rate. This is a good academic thing to do, and frankly, I support the concept. But there were 2 main problems, serious problems, with this bill. The first is that, according to the Legislative Finance Council, because of some mistakes that were made in the assumption for the new rate, if we would have passed that bill as is, the numbers we just got, and I just got them an hour ago, are that we would have been $88 million further in the hole for this upcoming fiscal year, which means we would have had to cut schools more, we would have had to cut social workers more, roads, cops, all the things that the state does. And I'm not for that. We've played that ball game enough over the past 2 or 3 years, and frankly, there are many people like me that don't want to play that anymore. The other problem is there was a real ideological series of choices that were made for this bill. So for instance, instead of getting rid of the capital gains tax giveaway that wealthy investors use to get a huge tax break on the income they get, which is a lot more than working people get. Instead of looking at that, instead of looking at the $395 million every year we give to extractive industries, oil and gas, coal, etc. Instead of looking at maybe freezing that corporate income tax that hasn't worked and not lowering that anymore, what was the choice? The choice was to raise the tax on health insurance premiums. That would have made us the highest state in the country for health insurance premium taxes, and raise the motor vehicles tax. And frankly, I have a respectful but very strong and very passionate disagreement with folks that want to do these sorts of things on the backs of sick people. Furthermore, when you look at what Trump Care is trying to do in D.C., where it's been well shown that if that passes, health insurance is going to go up for the sick, older people, pregnant women, those with pre-existing conditions. If we would have done this, it would have basically been a double kick to the gut for sick people. And that's one of the reasons, those are the two reasons that, for instance, I voted against it and turned that down. So because of that, the governor will probably veto the other tax stuff, but we think that the universities should get funded, and we should be able to limp through the next year with what we've got. So as always, if you have questions, comments, or concerns on these or any of the issues, I would love to hear from you. Thanks for watching this, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Bye.